We got the recording started. John, so where do I pre-order this game? Yeah, all right. When Kyle ships it, I'll be sure John and let you know. All right. So I
Yeah.
think it's not a fire. Cool. We can go on ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. Thank you once again for joining our fireside chat. This evening we are joined by Kyle Robinson, a level designer for Cold Symmetry. So Kyle, if you want to give like a quick introduction for yourself.
Guys, yeah. Kyle Robinson. I am a level designer, principal level designer over at Cold Symmetry. I'm the only level designer over there working on Mortal Shell 2. It's been great to like oversee that journey. My first role in the industry, I worked over at Avalon as a technical designer, and I graduated from Full Sail University in 2023. So, yeah, it's been a blast. I met a lot of like faces from the Black and gaming community over at GDC. It was a lot of fun. Blackfest was a blast. I love the award ceremony. It was great to see all that. Yeah.
Yeah, randomly running into you at GDC was a lot of fun.
Hell
'Cause I
yeah.
was like, I was really just looking for some water, and then I just heard someone call my name, and I was like, I don't see nobody that like who is this?
I think when I was walking past you, I heard somebody say your name, and I'm like, I know it's Samara. Wait a second. What? And I'm like, he's gonna be here at GDC. I have to say something right now. Yeah, it was amazing too, just
Yeah,
randomly. Yeah.
it was great.
I was in the CA program, so I was all over the place for GDC, like back and forth. I felt like I was at every corner of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it is a great way to meet a lot of people at GDC.
Yeah, it is. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah. So, before we get into the level design stuff, I know before this, I know we wanted to try and schedule this around your the weekend concert. So how was that?
Oh man, it was amazing. Yeah. This Sunday, the weekend came to Orlando. It was a blast. Playboy Cardi opened up his set for him. It was just electric, right? Like the stadium was huge. It was in Camping World, so it was outside. It rained a little bit too, so it was crazy with like all the smoke and the lights. It was super atmospheric. You know, the bass and like the reverb in those stadiums, like I could
Yeah.
feel like my heart beating in my chest and stuff. I was like, this is sick, man. I haven't like been to like a concert in a minute, and like it was a great. I know he's got like great shows, right? Like if there's any way to see him, like it's like seeing him in concert for sure.
Nice. Glad you had a great time. Also glad you're able to here be with us. So, I know you mentioned that you are like principal. You're the level designer at Cold Symmetry. So, I know you guys. Actually, do you want to give like a quick introduction for what you guys are working on before we start talking about the game itself?
Yeah, so Mortal Shell 2 is a sequel to Mortal Shell. Is a third-person action RPG, Souls-like, and it takes place in an extended version of the first game. And you face yourself with this brand new enemy, and you are a new version of a related version of someone in the first game. And it's this expanded version, and we kind of like improve on everything fundamentally about the first game while trying to like try brand new things. We're really trying to push the genre. I'm excited to see what comes out of it. Excited for everybody to get their hands on it, honestly.
Nice. Um, so before I just like so like to give us like an intro, like how would you sort of summarize your experience like designing levels for action games as opposed to some other genres? Because I know like earlier on and you were doing a lot of stuff for like first person shooters and stuff like that for your like in your like student work and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I have a passion for tactical first-person shooters, so I love CS, I love Valorant, I love Titanfall, right? I love movement shooters. I grew up playing a lot of those. I grew up playing a lot of Call of Duty. I love those kind of games, and I loved like diving into that space and trying to see what it's like. So those are my first levels, right? They were the easiest to grasp, and when in my youngin level design days, I guess I was it made I was more comfortable with the metrics, right? Tight metrics for those maps, and I was able to follow them. So I really was able to get a grasp for concepts and really not have to worry about like integrating any narrative or art. So I felt like it was a great place to start. And then transitioning into predominantly single player and third person action adventure games, my understandings for metrics, I actually kind of my in between before moving into like action RPGs was survival horrors. I like survival horror games as well. So kind of like dipping my foot in and trying to see like how can I understand like can I create a level based around a narrative experience and like what does that look like and can I tell a story through the spaces I'm making. And then I kind of like just took both of those like metrics and a little bit of story and stuff like that, a little bit of action, and then the constraints really come from the gameplay really, and we just kind of work around it. Super flexible job, like agile. You got to be like all over the place.
Okay. So, the parts that you say you're like going from like shooters to like action games, which would you say is that like you were most comfortable? Like you feel like though these like say like the size, the walking space, you're like, oh, I understand exactly what I need to do here. Like what made immediate sense to you?
Oh, like metrics. That was like the first thing, right? How big is something, right? And immediately, I'm 6'5". I'm a big guy. The first thing I get in when I get into any kind of space is I'm looking at the rooftops. I'm like, okay, cool. What is gonna hit me? What is happening? It's the first thing we do as like humans is we kind of like compare ourselves comparatively to like the size of objects around us. So it really absolutely was like the first thing. I'm like, how big is the player character? How big is the space around me? What is the time and distance? And from understanding that, I'm kind of like, okay, cool. Like I understand the rules of these worlds and like how I can bend them. And then that kind of like it was foundational for kicking off like the experience. I have a technical background though, so like I understand kind of like the black and white slate a little really easily. So first establishing like a clear set of like numbers and then like really understanding that like really I'm looking at kind of level design from a technical perspective in that sense.
Okay. So I guess on the flip of that, what would you feel is like the biggest sort of like maybe not culture shock, but like the big learning curve, the thing you really had to pick up as you were getting into like level design around action games?
Ooh, the biggest thing was pacing. Pacing is so crucial to a game and really understanding kind of like it is like music really, right? Like there are like high notes and uh like hooks for songs and like understanding what that means like to your game and understanding like your pacing relative to like your core gameplay loop. It absolutely is like crucial to understanding, and it takes a little bit of a learning curve. Every game has its own kind of like beat, and I think that specifically like third person action adventure games and souls likes in general, they play to their own beat a little bit. So not only is it understanding the existing genres like flow and their pacing, but how can we innovate on that and how can we change it was our biggest challenge and problem that we like look forward to when working on like Mortal Shell 2. Is a lot of fun.
Excellent.
It's
Pacing's interesting because I'm thinking is that like and like the multiplayer like shooter space, I feel like the players set their own pace and like they
Mhm,
dictate like the terms of engagement. Whereas with you having like the first person with like the first person single player action game, now you're sort of needing to like guide the player into like an actual like a beat you said like for music.
mhm. It's interesting, right? Because it's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, right? Like we can set up this entire elaborate structure and have like this whole story planned out, but players will do what they want to do no matter what, right? They're gonna
Right.
make their own decisions, and it's kind of like understanding that we're kind of it's my level design is like a serious mind game. I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put this item right here. This looks really shiny. That looks cool. You're gonna walk over here, jump scare right there. Look, you baited. I got you, just like that. And and then and it's just like kind of like guiding the player. The best thing for me is like when people don't even really notice level design, right? They're kind of just like, huh, wow, like I got here, like I really have an understanding of the space, and I like when they start to like understand, and you can kind of see how they people move through spaces a certain way when they start to understand it. And when you can like notice those patterns, that's like the I know it's clicking for them, right? Like I know that they're getting what I'm putting down, right? Like they're picking up everything, and it leads to a more immersive and like natural experience. I try to be one of the philosophies for like level design we have is just like being kind of like passive guidance, right? Like letting the player like infer their like next actions and make meaningful decisions based off of like what they can perceive. It
Yeah.
keeps players like looking at things, right? That's what we really want to look for.
Okay. Like I don't know how, like, I mean, I'm assuming it's fairly open for your game. Is that like the idea is you want them to do that exploration? You want them to sort of find their path.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that I mean, like natural exploration is kind of like it's super key, I think, to like respecting the player, right? Like giving them something to look forward to. We don't want players to feel frustrated, but we definitely want them to feel like, hey, I discovered this, right? Like this is I'm charting like my own path, and it's like it's why people love like the Legend of Zelda games so much, right? It's just kind of like what is that over there? And when you get over there, you're like, oh, what is this, right? It's like an addiction cycle, right? It's this loop where we can continuously get players to engage with content is like show them something in the distance. It looks cool. The journey there is cool, and the reward that they get is scaled to the difficulty of the challenge that they got there. And then like players when they get into that cycle, they're just like, okay, cool. This is it, right? I can trust the game. We're building this like relationship with the player through like the design, and it's cool. It's fun.
Nice. I'm trying to figure out how to word this question and like the like, yo, we're not trying to do any friend A situation here. So, because you're working on a sequel, is there anything in Mortal Shell 2 that's like, from a level design perspective, like related to Mortal Shell 1, or like, is that like, do you want to give any like, players coming from the first one any sort of sense of familiarity?
Yeah, so like there are familiar characters that are gonna be returning from the first game. They're within the trailer too, so it does take place in the same world itself. It may not be tied necessarily to the same grounds of the first game and the same setup, but the world itself is an expansion of the first game, and it's in every way, right? And we're looking
Okay.
to really kind of like um, build upon like the foundation of the first game for sure. And like,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
there'll be some things that like a player from the first game will recognize, but then they'll be like, "Oh, I know." It's like, "Oh shit, well, this is whole new." Like, okay,
Healthy mix, right? You want a healthy mix of that kind of stuff, right?
right, have to. What was that question? I just had it written down. Um, so actually, since we're talking about like the people you interact with, you mentioned a little bit of art real quick. Who do you work with like most frequently in terms of the other people on your team when you're like in terms of collaboration?
I work really closely with our art department, and of course, like the other designers. I talk really regularly with like our art directors and other artists and character teams. Everybody in our team is really connected. It's only around 30 of us, so everybody's kind of like wearing different hats and kind of like doing multiple different things and kind of like talking to each other. So in a way, right, like I talk to all departments, right? Like anything that's going into the game, I'm making sure that like we're overseeing it, making sure that it's representing other departments' work accurately, right?
Right,
And trying to everything that's like touching it because it's not only like the level design, it's like the encounters, it's the item placements, it's the lore that's set up in there too. So we're talking to narrative systems, we're talking to art. Art is mainly the most one, right? The relationship between like art and level design is crucial.
right,
And it's just getting to know your coworkers, right? And I think I have an amazing art team. And level design is famously like a studio wide effort. And I kind of just look to inspire people where it's like, hey, I've made a space that let's see, this is your work in the game, right? And that inspires people. They're like, oh, I like how this looks. That gives me an idea, right? And that kind of like creative fuel kind of like creates this cascading effect. And it's cool to see. I love seeing. I've worked with some amazing people, honestly. Yeah.
nice. So just because of your team size, it might be you do actually work with everyone. Are there any people that you would like to work more with?
Oh yeah, man. Audio. I want the
Ooh,
audio guys, man. Wow. Man, like audio engineers, audio designers, love them. I love their perspective on the world and how they view things and how they view games. And I think that it's one of the things that I really wish. I love our audio engineer, John. He's fantastic. He's extremely talented. And when we're combined, it's like a sensory thing, combining like really accurate sounds and like using them in for like level design purposes is super crucial, right? Like you feel those moments in games. It's really apparent in like horror games, right? Audio is so crucial to like how players like interpret a space, or it can even just chills down your spine, right? Or even like in Mario, like the music in like Super Mario Sunshine, right? That's just what joy feels like, I think, in my mind.
Right.
That's what I feel. So
No, I like
I
that.
love I yeah, yeah. Audio
Would
guys.
you say those people that you sort of like who you work with most frequently maybe shifts a bit depending on the type of game?
It can, for sure. Yeah, I mean, like every studio has like its own kind of like metric and setup for that, and I think depending on the type of game and depending on the role, specifically the level designer, relative to the project size and the team size, it can definitely change, right? Like I think if you're making a game for like Crypt of the Necro Dancer, right? Like you're definitely working with audio guys, like 100%. The entire game is kind of like built around that like audio base. But if you're working on like Arkham Asylum, right? You're definitely looking at combat and seeing how like your metrics and spaces are set up. In when I worked for Ruby Shark with Nate over there, it was a lot of fun working with like technical designers and programmers, and like really getting to pick their brains about like how we can create efficient tools to like make better workflows. Yeah, I learned a lot from that. It was a lot of fun.
Okay. Um, so when you're like in this collaboration process, has anyone ever sort of like pushed back on your blockouts or sort of come to you and be like, hey, like I kind of think maybe we should like change this environment because of like this enemy has like XYZ attributes and I think like this level is going to get in the way of like how the enemy functions.
Oh, 100%. Oh, 100%. Every time. Yeah. It's like when you create a space, it's from your perspective, and it's so important to get other people's feedback. And like I always get pushback for stuff like that, man. It's amazing to hear. It's part of it is just like understanding like the move sets of enemies, but also part of it is like, does this make sense within like the world that we're creating? And is it tangible? Does it meet the scope and guidelines of the project that we're in? And it get pushback from all different directions, right? We change things just because the narrative will change, or we'll alter things because this part of the game is kind of like shifted. The bosses are a little bit different here, and you just got to be as flexible as possible with that kind of stuff and really take that feedback, because there is a better version of that space, right? There's a compromise. And if there is something that I'm like pretty firm on design wise, I just voice that, right? And then we have a discussion about it. And it's like, actually, I really wanted this space to be this way because, I'm thinking about this perspective and this perspective. I'd like to kind of like meet in the middle ground where we can get like your idea and my idea invested into this. And then from there, it's just, yeah, just a conversation.
I mean, I love the idea of obviously being flexible to like compromise on every or like sort of like build the best of everyone's visions. Have you ever sort of like done the like you push back on what other people are thinking because of the level design? Like, hey, I think with this space I've crafted XYZ enemy should maybe have a different attribute, or maybe they should be slower to like work around this space, or maybe they should be faster.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, 100% right. If we create a space with a specific intention and everybody is like under the impression that the experience is going to play out a certain way, and when we play test that space, if those enemies don't kind of match the theme or the intention that we were going for, voicing that immediately is like extremely crucial to the team. And we create a space really where that's like the expectation, right? Where if an enemy, if I want this space to play slower, right? I want it to feel like a slog, and I want the player to feel this kind of like friction that I'm putting on them. But all the enemies are super agile, and it's like really uncomfortable for the player to move through the space, but the enemies have more agency. It kind of creates this like really negative experience for the player, and it's probably like more than what I wanted. So I'll push back and be like, okay, cool. Hey, like, can we tweak the speed of these guys? These guys deal too much damage. I want to do an encounter like this, right? Like these are their behaviors have a specific complement to each other, and I want to pair these enemy types together. But they kind of just feel awkward to fight together. Can we look at these together? And from there, right, it's just like taking every space and analyzing it, and then figuring out what works for best for both of us. Because maybe that was like the intention, that they wanted the enemy to just suck to fight, like like it's Like it's just absolutely mean to the player, and that's completely true. That's what the games are about, right? I'm like, this guy
Yeah,
like just like kicked my teeth in and like laid me out on the ground, and they're like, that's what he's supposed to do, and I'm like, fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm a part of the testing population.
yeah. No, I
I'm
like that.
absolutely awful at our game. I'm awful at it. It's
It's
god awful. I've beaten
funny.
all. I play all the Souls games completely through all the way through. I'm garbage.
It's funny that you say that because previous Fireside chat we had Steven ARGB, who was who was a combat designer, and I remember he made a comment that's like, Samari, like, yeah, you're also a combat designer, we want the player to feel powerful, and I was like, no, I don't. I want their ultimate to like make them as unhappy as possible, and he was just like, I need you to stop. I need you to stop being like this.
Oh yeah, we're all about disempowerment over here, man.
Yeah,
Tank
exactly.
control. What are you talking about? You can't see anything. What? This is the evil within, man. There's no camera control here. What the? What are you talking about?
Lock, get good. Um, so on the opposite of like just like games that you've because I know obviously actually a really good question. So it came from someone earlier. Did you do any sort of like research into the first Mortal Shell to sort of get inspiration for like anything you wanted to do in Mortal Shell 2?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, I still go back and look at the game too. It's just like understanding. Specifically like what's going on in the game and like really looking for like a deeper understanding for what they're trying to say in the narrative because I wasn't there. I've played Mortal Shell 1 all the way through. I loved it. I did a ton of research into like each of the biomes, getting familiar with the lore. I thought it was extremely respectful almost for the people I'm coming onto their project, and I'm like, these are a group of guys that are really passionate about the mythos that they've created, and I'm like, it's on me to like really learn that, right? And it was cool, right? Like I kind of like got engrossed to it, and I was welcomed on by our narrative director Ryan with open arms about it. And he was like, "I'm just gonna sit down. We're gonna sit here for 4 hours. I'm gonna tell you everything, and it's gonna be everything about the game, and you're just gonna have to know it, and we're just gonna have it." And then he was like, "So what do you think about that? And what are your ideas?" And I'm like, "Well, what about this?" And then from there, it just kind of keeps the ball rolling, and it's a really personal relationship between like level design, narrative, and art, really trying to kind of represent the narrative in the best way without necessarily explicitly saying things. It's really great to see the collaboration that comes out of that for sure.
Nice. Um, I know since like I mean obviously you've done a lot of research into action games. Obviously you mentioned you just played like Mortal Shell 1. Were there any particular action games that you spent on other time like sort of researching and like in preparation for working on this?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, drawing inspiration from any specific like variant of like combat focused games and the level design that surrounds them is extremely important. Looking at games like God of War, Final Fantasy 7, specifically the remake, it was really interesting how they approached combat in there. And then looking at action fighting games, of course, Devil May Cry, right? All of those
Yeah.
games, they have like at its essence, right, there's a way that they perceive level design, right? And it's from understanding those, can I understand what we don't want and what we do want, right? So
Yeah.
taking a look at that and saying like, hey, like what are we gonna do here, right? Like why does it feel so good for Devil May Cry, right? Well, they have an extremely fast move set that covers a lot of ground. They need huge
Right.
arenas to suffice this, and the bosses have crazy move sets. They go all over the place. It's meant to feel like that. It's supposed to be super
Right.
bombastic. But like Resident Evil like 7, right? Like you're in a, right? Like you're super cramped. Like in your set up Silent Hill is like set up a little differently. That combat is supposed to make you feel uncomfortable, right? Same for like Souls games too. The level design isn't necessarily in your favor, right? It is meant to be a soft way for you to understand the world, but how you take that information is completely on you. And the tricks and everything of the world, you kind of have to be perceptive, and that's an interesting game to play with a player, right? Because they're like, hey, I like these designers, man. I trust these guys. They gave me some gold and some XP. I love these dudes. And then we're like, no, we're about to drop you right off this cliff. It's gonna be awful for you. And
Thanks for buying our game. Here's a
and they're just like these guys, man. And it's a part of the game, and it's a relationship, right? Like with the community for sure. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's interesting to hear you say that, like, looking at similar games in the space and saying, like, what do they do that works and, like, what do they do that necessarily doesn't work? Like, how does it not affect our vision? Because it's like Devil May Cry, I would imagine, is that, like, yeah, like, it makes sense for that game to have way more open spaces because it's a faster paced game, whereas opposed to, like, for something that you want to sort of feel claustrophobic, having those, like, big
Mhm.
open combat spaces is, like, people feel too safe and feel too comfortable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, in some cases, we do take inspiration too. I mean, like, boss arenas have to have a specific metric size based on like boss movesets and
Right.
the metrics that they do and like how they set the arena spaces up to be at like favorable or like non-favorable for the player is interesting. And Devil May Cry it goes against Final Fantasy 16 also did a great job with these arena spaces too. Um, I think it's the same combat director. I think it's the same game design director who did Devil May Cry 5. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure it was the same guy. Yeah, it was same combat director for 5 and Final Fantasy 16, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, great game.
What was else on there? Oh, so on the opposite of just other games, like in general, like maybe not even with action games, just as a broad like. Well, I'm sorry, no, actually with action games. Are there any other games that you're just like, yo, like you looked at this and maybe it doesn't fit for what you all want to do with Mortal Shell, but you just really love how they approach like level design.
Ooh, that is a great question. I think I have a love for immersive sims.
Okay.
Uh yeah, Dishonored, Deus Ex.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love Dishonored 2 is a amazing game. I absolutely love their approach to level design. It's like a playground. And it's just like creating a space that just facilitates creativity. Stealth games also do this as well too. The Metal Gear Solid series does this fantastic job of this, creating play spaces that are just like we've given the player a diverse tool set and like approach this problem right, like use your creative skills to approach a objective within a game and creating like spaces like that are like specifically geared towards a type of gameplay like that. I love that kind of stuff. It's super realistic. It's grounded, right? Immersive sims are super based off of like things that we can immediately like understand, like switches, valves, and reaction types and everything. And it's super. It's really great. Prey is an amazing game to go through. Um, yeah, I have a love for those kind of games for sure. They're not always applicable, right? Like there's like they're not always like the most giving games and not everybody really likes them but they like have a very interesting design, right? It's and the people who do really love them really enjoy them because they like truly understand them for sure. But I can understand why they're not everybody's taste and why not all of the design choices that were made there are applicable for any level design or any other game for sure.
And my last question before I open it up to the floor. So, just from your perspective as like a level designer, is there anything that you'd like to see in action games that like we don't really do, or games as a whole haven't really tried, or maybe like one person's tried and you're like, yo, we need to do more of this, or we need to try more of this.
Ooh, I really want to like a fluid camera. I feel like we don't do enough with the camera in games, right? Like I feel like we can really push the limits. We have this crazy systems. I just played through Split Fiction, and the things that they do in that platform with the camera are just
Ooh.
insane. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, we could just do this in combat games, and it would just make it so fun. Why aren't we just doing this? And they have combat elements within that game, and I was like, this is fun. Like this is like an amazing kind of action platformer. Why? Let's do some more of this stuff. Like where are we at with this and like getting really interesting with like how we approach this. It kind of reminds me of like the old God of Wars did a lot though too, right? They had this like track-based camera system. You're
Yeah.
fighting up the side of a Titan, he's flying in and everything like that. That's like the
Yeah.
like bringing stuff like that is like super. We've done it before, but I feel like with the technology that we have now, we could really take it to new heights. And it's interesting too. Like I really want to see more interesting camera perspectives, honestly.
Ooh. That's an interesting one. For some reason, I thought you were going to say something audio related. I don't know why. Like, if I
Yeah.
just had to guess.
I love every game that listens to the sound of your actual voice is so cool to me. All the horror indie games that are coming out now that listen actually track your like eye movements. So like specifically like your facial recognitions and stuff like that. And like the sound of your voice, like don't scream and stuff like that. Those games are terrifying because like what do you mean it's listening to me? What are you talking about right now? What's happening? What do you mean? It's like the game. Like you can't. If you blink in real life, the monster will chase you. Get me out of here. No, we're done.
Sounds
We're done.
great.
Like,
Oh,
we're done. We're
oh,
done.
here it is.
There's none of this no more. None.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
no.
that sounds. See, I realize I'm just a forum troll in real life because I'm like, yo, that sounds awesome. We should all do
Absolute menace to
this. All right, so let me start going through some of these really good questions. So first off, shout out to Johnny because I actually grabbed one of his. So let me grab a second one of his. So early on, you mentioned like the scale that you think is very important for like keeping track of. Do you have any sort of rules of thumb for like a good interactive space or like ideal sizing?
Yeah, yeah. So the first thing that I usually do is start with like a clear, like a easy like metric gym, and I just document everything in that gym that the player can do, every action that they can take, every jump height and everything. And then just by understanding and like getting like a perception of like what that space really looks like. And typically I'll create tools that like measurement tools. So I'll use like to like make sure that those spaces. It's important to keep for some games. You know, some games don't really care about this too much. Games that like are metric based, right? Like really want to adhere to those tight metrics. It's really important for perspective. Um, and starting with like a really good gym and getting amazing actual video to watch. This is a great one too. Kingdom Hearts 3 has a metrics gym video on YouTube. If you look it up, it's like an Unreal Showcase video, and they like go through specifically setting up all the metrics for the game, and it's beautiful. It's like a work of art. It's absolutely phenomenal to see.
That sounds like something I should probably be doing as opposed to just throwing platforms down and be like, "Can I reach this?" Nah, we'll find out. We're throwing an enemy here. We'll find out. Um. All right. So next question from Maggie: what's a level design challenge that you had to like take to a lead to come to a resolution?
um, a really hard decision I had to make was cutting a level that I made that I knew was no longer servicing the game anymore. I enjoyed the space, but I knew that I needed to revise it, and it was a really big deal because it was going to be a lot of work, and it was a really hard decision. And I was just like, I cannot come to grips with this, and I need like a higher perspective, right, on this. And going to my lead Andrew, he's a good space for counsel on that kind of stuff. And he provided me with some great perspective on how I could kind of like mitigate a lot of like the scope for the redoing the space, and it helped me to like tackle the problem like a lot better. And I just needed to hear someone else too, or um, a lot of times what I'll consult with our art director Anton often, specifically just about like um the overall like feeling and flow of the space and whether or not something makes sense. He has an amazing perspective on like architecture and like the how things function. And creating a believable space is something that's like important to us. So having his perspective is always valuable for me. And sometimes they can be really challenging too. Like if you're looking at a space for too long, you absolutely can just be blindsided by that stuff. It's important to often kind of like seek other people's help to get to those resolutions for sure.
Actually, next question, Maggie, which is follow up on like getting that feedback. How do you have like a general process for like handling feedback on your blockouts?
Yeah, I always approach listening to feedback like I try to receive it how I like to give it out in a way where it's like um you tell people what they did wrong, tell somebody what they did right, and you give them action items on like or suggestions, right, that you would want for them to like take steps to get to a resolution. And oftentimes when I'm receiving feedback, I seek those same things. What am I doing wrong? Tell me what I'm doing wrong immediately, man. Like I need to know if this isn't working for you, if it's a bad experience for you, or something that I'm doing is not working in the way you thought it was. Please let me know what's going right, right? Like what do you like about space? Maybe I can do more of it, right? Seeking those answers in the feedback session is extremely important to me. And if I don't feel like I'm getting that kind of stuff, I just ask the questions. Yeah. Just a lot of the times conversations can go off in awry. So just like, hey, before we head out, I really like you mentioned like these were like a problem. Do you have any ideas on like how I kind of things I really want to if not, that's okay. But like I, get a head start on tackling this problem and just approaching every session like that, open, leave your ego at the door. Nobody has time for anybody who's like constantly trying to pick fights with people, right? Defend an idea that you think is a good idea. You don't have to be rude about it and just keep it pushing. Yeah. I love the honesty of the team. It's super important. I believe in the it's okay to hurt my feelings for hours. It means that I won't ship the game and a million people will tell me I made a bad level for the rest of my life, right?
Yeah.
So it's like being honest. Honesty is what we're really seeking from here. And compassion, right? That's kind of like the thing. You understand people are doing a lot of things and people are stressed and it's a game and it's stressful, right? So human error happens and just approaching it like that. It's always
What
great.
if all my what if all my ideas are good ideas?
Who?
um, um, is there a genre that you'd rather not do level design for? Like maybe you've like just looked at how like the games work in this space, and you're just like, I'm good, bro. I'm all set. Like, if for a paycheck, all right, but like, I'm not gonna enjoy it.
Oh man, that's tough. That's tough. That's tough. Any game that I want to say like any game that fundamentally doesn't have any sort of anything like I'm thinking of like the first thing that came to my mind was like what am I gonna do for EA?
But do for what?
Like EA like making like Madden like the football field's blue now. Like there's not much I gotta.
Yeah.
Of course I know that you would like create like the tutorials and stuff like that, and that's predominantly where like your level design role would be. But like yeah, that's where my mind immediately goes. I am not like the biggest like super complex puzzle person. I love a good puzzle
Ah,
game. I love The Witness. I love games that but there is like it takes a special designer to make that kind of stuff. And sometimes, man, I feel like I'm gonna lose my mind trying to build a puzzle that feels like it's like complex, like scaling a puzzle to being something super complex, right? It always kind of like escapes me, and it becomes super
yeah.
those are yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Like I remember trying to work on like a puzzle for like a game and just like back in school and I was like, I think I'm just gonna make games about violence because I don't have the mental fortitude. Like my brain
it's
doesn't work this way.
it's crazy because Nate's like, I love puzzle games, man, and I'm like, every time I'm like puzzle problem, I'm like, man, please, dude, I can't like
You're just
like
like
what he,
you're just like get away from me.
he's just like, you wrote these steps, and I'm like, yeah, but like I don't even step even makes sense anymore. Do we have to go back again? Like, are we sure the laser's pointed the right way? Like,
Ooh, here's a good one from Mattia. So, if you heard correctly, you graduated from Full Sail in 2023. So, like, what was the process from like graduation to like principal?
um, a lot of research. I think I really like I guess I started really really early too. I halfway through school I got like a really big kind of like reality check from like my teachers where I really was starting to get into design. I was kind of like setting things up and I just couldn't get it. I was bad. I was really bad at design at first, really, because I wanted everything to be perfect the first time, and that was my biggest mistake. And from there they a lot of my teachers like were like look outwards, right? Like look at the people that you want to be, the positions you want to be in, and look up those people. And so I started like my journey like really getting into those communities like super early and trying to like learn as much as possible. And I felt like that definitely did. I was able to obtain get access to a lot of information earlier, and just constantly like I made like a dedication to myself. I don't think I've stopped, like learn something new like every single day. And I just like constantly in that pursuit over like a couple of years. Like you learn a bunch of stuff, and it's useless knowledge 98% of the time, but it's cool like in hindsight, and it helps like to generate ideas. So like, and then from out of school, it was just relentless like application of all those principles, constantly getting feedback, and then constantly like trying to like push forward. It really was just like waiting for an opportunity and just being constantly ready at all times and constantly pushing myself. I worked an extra job and I worked an extra job on top of all that. I worked at Walmart for like a month. It was great. I did my first interview to get into the game industry in the back boiler room. And it's just it's you on a laptop and I'm like sitting there and I'm like changing out like my uniform and everything like that. I'm trying to like, get to it. But then like at nights, just like kind of I told myself one of the things that I realized too was setting a clear goal for what I really wanted. I told myself going through school that my goal was like I really want to like get like to make game of the year, right? Like I want to be on that stage. I want to make game of the year. I'm thinking about. I'm like this is like the dream, right? And then I got my degree and they handed my diploma and I walked across the stage and I felt like that was my game of the year moment. And that week afterwards was pretty tough because I was like, wow, like I'm not doing anything. I don't feel super productive, and I felt like I was kind of like, no, I wasn't an engine. It was the longest time doing stuff, and it was like 2 weeks
Yeah.
had passed, and 3 weeks passed, and I was like, what am I doing? What's going on right now? And I realized that the goal I had set was I was kind of like lying to myself, right? I was just looking for somebody to pat me on the back and say you did a good job, rather than looking for what I actually wanted. So I kind of reevaluated what my goal. What do I really want, right? Like what am I looking to get out of career
Yeah.
and what are the actual steps that I need to do? And I made a checklist and I was like, what skills do I need actually? Like, what am I actually missing right now? I don't know how to 3D model, right? I don't understand the concepts of lighting, right? I really don't understand like all kinds of different level design. I need to start learning more. And then that kind of pointed me in the right direction. So I think like having a being truthful to yourself about what goals you really want and like working from there was like a great like direction for me. It kind of like shifted me like right back onto the right path, I think, in the
Nice.
pursuit of that.
Now you're famous. Now you
No,
made it.
no, 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 no. Big D4 is not here, bro. He's like the
Oh,
celebrity is not here.
yeah,
This is
yeah. The level design celebrity, Big B4.
the celebrity.
Well, actually, here's a really good one question from Dave. So everyone complains about like the yellow paint thing, like the obvious big arrow telling you where to go. But as a visual pair person, I find it really, find those markings useful. What are some good ways to handle like open or semi-open levels to like make them more readable to where you should go without being too obvious?
Mm-hmm. So this is like a really interesting. This is a great topic. We talk about this a lot in a lot of space, and it is a concept of like signifiers and affordances. So, like, what do we perceive as interactable objects in the world, and how can we navigate players through that understanding? So, like, establishing like a clear and readable language for interactable objects or perceivable objects in the world that facilitate a specific mechanic in the game, and building a consistent language. Right? It's less about the color. Color is more of like universal turn. It's kind of like a band-aid solution to everything, right? Like if I want players to realize that the ledge is climbable, I can slap paint on it and I know the player did that, right? Because the first time they climb up on that ledge, they're going to realize like a pattern. It's just like pattern recognition, but you can
Right.
build that in different ways, and a lot of different games do that as well. A very natural solution is actually in Legend of Zelda, right? They just use vines, right? Natural vines grow out of the different areas. The rock textures are a little bit different, and you can create a pattern in like how you're displaying that language, and it doesn't have to be so like intrusive. But I understand exactly what you're talking about. But that kind like with like your like a color palette specifically, so like creating a more universal language that's not specifically tied to a color, I think that's like a pitfall we can get into as designers, right? It's just over relying on something as simple as that. When in reality, like we could be missing like a solution for something like that that's just right in front of our eyes, right? Like if we want players to think that the door is unlocked, we should probably make it look like it's unlocked, right? And then what does that mean? And then going from there, right? And taking it
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
Yeah. One thing I saw from a designer online is that like he would just set up a tool to sort of just say like if you just kind of walk around in a space for a certain amount of time and you don't go in the right direction, he'll just spawn an enemy, set up script to like spawn an enemy in the direction you're supposed to go. So then you'll go in that direction to go fight that dude, and then now you're going the right way.
Oh yeah, dude. That's like they do that a lot in the Doom games too, right? Breadcrumbing enemies, breadcrumbing engagement. If combat is your central axis of engagement, and you know players are gonna like jump at the thought of like killing something, or like you're teaching the player the language of like pursuit of an enemy like leads to a
Oh,
reward of some kind. That's so like that immediately will like in Doom games, you see like that dude off on the cliff. I'm like, that guy's up there not getting punched right now. What is going on? I gotta get up there and punch that guy, and then that's where he's
yeah,
supposed to go. So
yeah. For a sec, I thought you were gonna say teaching the language of murder, and I was like, whoa,
no,
whoa.
whoa, 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 whoa.
um, so Fabian's question, I feel like, what was your journey to game dev like? I feel like that was sort of covered briefly, but if there's anything additional you want to say, feel free.
My journey into like game dev, like specifically
Like, do you
like the
actual internship projects for resources you use to find your job?
so I guess like the how everything came about is actually man, it's a story. It's an absolute tale. But talking to my student counselor at Full Sail University, Robert, I told him about like this the Orlando game space, and I was like, I really want to check these people out. Like, do you think they're like scheduled a tour on a Saturday? I went there. He said it would be good to check out, and he kind of pushed me to do it. And I was like, fantastic, let's go check it out, do a tour. I ended up meeting a lady down there. Interaction. And she showed me around the entire place and opened me up to the Discord group within the space. And within that space, I was connected with Sean Pinnock, and he was able to get me my first role into the industry. So I genuinely believe that like the pursuit of that kind of stuff and putting yourself in the spaces to be recognized is like extremely important. And when he posted in the Discord group and was just like, hey, I'm looking for somebody who has like technical knowledge of Unreal with C++ skills. And I'm like, hey, I messaged him like, hey, I have those skill sets. Here's my portfolio right here. I know this person, from the space. I'd love to chat about this kind of role. And it was just kind of like that, right from there. But it wouldn't have come about if I wasn't trying to find the spaces to not only like I'm creating this work, but like showing it was like extremely important. I also like huge shout out to Ruby Shark and like the team over there. I
Yeah.
think it was fantastic to really have a group of people really push you to be. I think Nate was the first person to see my school project like right out of school. And he was absolutely like we gotta like you have like a skill set. You just need to know some stuff, man. You let me teach you some things. And from there it was just kind of like experimenting. He really gave me a lot of space to like just be as creative as I wanted to be. And he was just like, you make a lot of stuff, man, really fast. Like what else can you make? And I'm like, let's just do this stuff and let's talk about it. And just long conversations, right? Like I think like that was like where a lot of the like learning came from, right? It was just like us asking each other questions like, does this work? Like, right. And from showing me the ropes all the way through it and everything like that to working together on different projects and everything. It's our relationship's great. Love that guy. Can't stand him. I don't know.
I was like, let me tag him so right when he pops in, and you'll just be like, I hate that guy.
Can't stand this dude.
Right. Ooh, here we go. Here's a good question from Omar. So, lots of games have levels that depict things outside the realm of reality, like dreams. What are some of your favorite examples of those, and how they like reinforce the idea of like an alternative space, like
Hmm.
dream levels, or just something that's like this is not anything like reality, but like selling the idea.
I love the like mental dream space for Remedy games. And like how they and like their approach to that. So Control and Alan Wake with like the Dark Place, right? Like their depictions of something that is like a dream-like space or an alternative reality that's depicted in a way. I think another great game that does a good like alternative reality is like Lords of the Fallen. They have a fantastic kind of like dual world system that they go into with their level design. It's pretty interesting. Um, and because I think that I love the depictions of those for those games because they're like incorporated into it. It's not just like a presentation of like a dream space, like it's like a certified cutscene basically, right? Like you kind of like through a dream or something. It's more of like an actual part of gameplay, and it like facilitates like the experience itself. I think Alan Wake 2 did a fantastic job at this with the Dark Place, and I think that they utilized it to tell like this a really interesting like dual narrative. And it's probably like one of my like favorite examples like to date for that. I think that they have like a mastery of especially like just like the dream life, and it changes because the dream worlds and like these like depictions are always kind of like um player driven, right? And I think in that game they really take a get like this is like the subconscious, right? It's against the player. It's what you're really thinking, and it gives like a new perspective into not only how the protagonists are feeling, but other characters because Saga has like the ability as a seer, right, to see into the minds of other people, so she can see the truth within them, and it gives this amazing perspective into like you're obtaining information, so you have to engage with the dream space and understand it to a degree. And by understanding this space, we're understanding our protagonist, which makes us understand the game. And it's this whole like synergy thing. And cinema, that's it. That's it.
Oh my god. Um, where's the question I just scrolled? Oh, there we go. Another one from Dave. What are some of your level design pet peeves? Like you playing the game and you see this and you're like, "Yo, son, I'm about to ask for a refund. Y'all bugging."
Improper invisible walls, boy. Yeah, that'll get me. That's the fastest way to yeah, like get me like right out. I'll be peeved immediately. Some bad placed invisible walls, man. Some like I can jump over this fence. Yeah, I look like I bet I can. Like if I actually jump and my player character like he actually gets over the fence, I'm furious. I'm absolutely like hey, I'm hands down. Hands down, fastest way to like if I'm running out to something and I hit like a wall and I'm like there's something I like there's a space behind this wall. Where is it? And yeah, no. Yeah. I immediately go into like a yeah, like I'm gonna start typing like a Yelp review for a pizza place about
Oh
this game.
no! Oh
Like,
no!
like I'm in
Not
the
the Yelp
Domino's
review.
Yelp page talking about. I mean, you know what I hated about this game?
Gonna go actually find the level designer on LinkedIn and be like, "My guy, what is this?" Just send him a picture of
Jonathan
the
said it.
invisible wall.
Hey, Jonathan, you said it, bro. I didn't say Black Myth Wukong had rough invisible, but you said it, man. Hey, look, I'm not gonna get into that, but you know, some might say it's atrocious, but I don't know. That's another man's. Couldn't be mine.
some
Couldn't be.
some other man, also named
I know.
Kyle.
Who's this? Who's this? Some might. I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's good. Let me just make sure. Let's go through. See if I missed anything. I think that covers it. So, any like last words you want to leave us on before we like call it?
Uh, this probably would be the spot where I'm like I say something like super cool, but like if you want to talk level design, I love that kind of stuff. I like making cool levels. I'm working currently on a project right now with Omar. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic narrative designer who's setting up the project for us, and excited to kind of like unveil that thing. It's going to be a really cool piece. Of course, like you should check a look at Mortal Shell. Like it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty chill.
Yeah, I mean you're
I'd
working
love
on
to
it.
hear from you guys and hear your guys' games too, man. Yeah, I'd love to hear stuff. I want to get more involved in the community and do stuff and chat
Yeah,
of
yeah. I
chatting just
definitely
game
like
design.
your. I like your suggestion of Blocktober. I'm gonna definitely hit up you and Nate about that because that could be fun. I don't know what specifically yet, but it's August. I got a little bit of time to think about that. But I think we could. I think we could do something cool for Blocktober.
Hell yeah.
Um.
Hell-
So I think with that being everything. Oh, what we got? Oh, last minute buzzer beater question from Dave.
The
Um.
buzzer beater.
All right. Can level design expand into like real world designing scale, like arranging rooms?
Absolutely. I absolutely believe that. I think it was through level design that my love for architecture started. I've become like a very like devout like hobbyist into like topography, architecture, and like the understanding of like real world spaces because of like my love for level design. And from understanding those real world spaces, I become a better level designer. It's like this like ping pong
Yeah.
back and forth thing. Photography is like another thing. Um,
Oh
that
yeah, you
really
start walking around just taking photos with like cool spaces.
man, oh god, like it's the best thing. I'm off, so I'm really bad. My fiance has family out in Atlanta, and so we go out there in like the suburbs, and there's so many abandoned houses. I love like
Yeah.
abandoned house. I'm the biggest like I take pictures of that stuff because this is like the real life The Last of Us. Why wouldn't I take a picture of it? And then
Okay. I got a art. All right, I bought a book that's like of. There, he had two books, which is the Abandoned Houses of New York and the Abandoned Houses of Pennsylvania. Like next time, I'll make sure I bring one of them to see through. It's literally just like photography of just like these abandoned buildings. It is so sick.
oh yeah, I love that kind of stuff. If you guys take cool pictures and you guys are just like I kind of want to get to know this guy Kyle all together. Cool ass picture. That's the best opener. I love a good cathedrals. I'm a big like church fan. I love like
Yeah.
analyzing like the architecture for like churches and things. It's like super interesting. Public third spaces are also I have a love for like modernist architecture and like gothic architecture as well. I'm not gonna get into it. We could talk about that another time. A
Yeah.
whole other
No, they're good. This has been good. I'm definitely gonna keep these in mind for later. Um, So I'm gonna, yeah, so I think we can call it here. I will say, everyone, thanks again for coming. I always appreciate you all showing up to these. Like, it's cool to say, like, yo, we're just gonna have some Black Game Dev once a month to come here and just talk about the cool things you do. I'm always appreciative of you all showing up to these. Kyle, this has been a ton of fun. It is, you know, I like action games. You know that's what I play all the time. So like, talking level design and action games is like a lot of blast to you. So thanks for doing this. Um, there's some of us hanging out in the chat and chill section afterwards. So if you all stop by, great. If not, like we'll see you next time. And everyone have a good night.
Yeah, thank you guys for
And
having me. I'll catch you guys.
there we go.